femininity, womanhood, and I give you overall life advice. So if any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel and share this content. I'm going live here talking about how feminine women have the princess and queen energy. So I'm going to wait for a few of you to come on, trying to get better at announcing when I'm going live, but sometimes I'll just surprise you. So I'm going to wait for a few of you to come on before I start speaking. Yeah, I think it's important to talk about this topic of having the feminine energy, the feminine queen and princess energy, and leading with our femininity. That is really what this live is about. It's about leading with your femininity. When a woman leads with her femininity, she is leading with who she is. She's not leading with what she does like men do. She's leading with her feminine essence. So what am I talking about when I say a woman has feminine queen and princess energy? I'm going to get into that. Stick around. Feminine women have princess and queen energy. We move in that, not what you see today. Many women are accustomed to introducing themselves by what they do. Many women take pride in what they do. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but when you are in your femininity, when you have decided to lean back into your true nature as a woman, you are no longer leading with what you do. You are leading with who you are. Feminine women do not feel the need to compete with other people, especially men. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a doormat and just lay down and submit to anybody. But what I am saying is that when you lean into your femininity, you now have a controlled strength. You understand that you have more power with your influence than what you have with what you can physically do. You no longer desire to exhaust your body physically, but now you use your mind and your feminine essence to get what you need and what you want from other people. You don't have to use manipulation tactics. You can just be yourself. So feminine women understand that moving in the princess energy says that I desire to be in a more laid back, rested position. And specifically, when you're talking about the male and female dynamic, the masculine and feminine dynamic, you no longer want to lead that relationship. I can tell you for me, the most freeing thing when I decided to submit to my feminine nature and who I was designed to be, it lifted a weight off of my shoulders because I understood that I didn't have to be the same way as a man. Men work, women work. Men have children, women have children. I'm not saying in that sense, but I mean in mentality. And that's where the princess queen energy comes in. When a woman is in her princess energy, she desires to be led. She doesn't want to always be in the leadership position. When a woman truly realizes that trying to always be in a leadership position in her life, I'm not saying in business, I'm talking about in life. When a woman constantly desires to be in a leadership position in her personal relationships, specifically with men, because when you talk about the feminine, you have to discuss the masculine also. So when you have feminine masculine dynamics in a relationship, when a woman truly leans into her femininity, she understands that she is no longer interested in leading that relationship. She's not interested in being the lead in her personal life, especially when there is a man there. The princess energy says, take care of me. And I'm not just talking about financially. I'm not saying put aside your gifts and your talents and your skills. I'm not saying that you become dumb or weak. What I am saying is that you have to know when to be in that strong, assertive type of energy. And then as a feminine woman, you have to understand when it's time to lay back and rest. I'll give you an example. My husband, he's at work right now. I'm at home. So undoubtedly, if something was going on in my home, let's say something small, the trash, it was overflowing. Am I going to let the trash stay on the floor until he gets home from work at 6 o'clock? No. I'm going to have to go downstairs and take care of it. But when he's home, that trash does not exist in my mind. I don't do anything pertaining to anything as far as trash, as far as any kind of maintenance. I don't even open my own water bottles anymore. It's not that I can't, but why do I have to exert that kind of energy when I have a man in the home? And I'm not just saying in an intimate relationship like a marriage. If you have an older son like I do, my son, and this is the kind of response you will get from the masculine when you are leaning into your femininity. I have an upstairs, downstairs, and I'll vacuum. And my son, if he sees me going for the vacuum cleaner that I keep in my dining room off in the corner, he'll say, Mom, I got it. I got it. You need me to take it upstairs for you? I'll take it. And then when he hears me turn the vacuum cleaner off upstairs, he automatically comes up and he'll grab it. So something as simple as submitting to not carrying heavy things, that keeps you in your feminine energy. So when I talk about being like a princess, I'm talking about allowing the masculine energy in your life to lead. Allow yourself to be rested in your physical body and let them do it. Let somebody else do it. The princess energy that says that I don't need to be the one doing something all the time for it to get done. I had a situation before at the supermarket where I asked a young lady to bag my groceries, and she gave me a whole attitude about it. Now, if she didn't feel like doing it, if she was really in her femininity, she could have looked over at her male coworker and said, Hey, can you bag those for me? Thank you. He was standing there literally doing nothing. But instead, she decided to give me an attitude for asking her to do her job. But I digress. But a woman who's in her feminine energy, you know how to delegate. You know how to make your load lighter by utilizing the masculine energy. And men feel like they are needed when you ask them to do things. A lot of us have been programmed to think that we have to coddle the masculine energy, that we have to coddle men and make them feel like we're afraid to ask them to do stuff. I know for years I was almost afraid to ask my husband to do certain things. Some women are afraid to ask for money. And if you're married, you shouldn't really have to ask all the time, but there's going to be times you're going to ask. But why would you feel uncomfortable asking somebody who is a man in your life to do for you? And then when you exude that feminine energy on a regular basis, certain things will just come natural. Like my son automatically knew to grab the vacuum cleaner for me. I didn't have to ask him that after a while because he understood I don't want mom to do that. Mom doesn't necessarily like to do that. I don't want her to hurt herself, so I'm going to do it. So when you operate in that femininity, you are leaving yourself more open to receive, and specifically receive from the masculine energy. That can even mean a woman who is heavily in her masculine, because not all women, unfortunately, are going to surrender to their feminine nature. Some women have been programmed so much so to be in their masculine that they're comfortable there. And hey, I'm not the fixer of the world. I have my little corner of the world, my little corner of YouTube here, and I'm trying to encourage and influence women to lean back into their feminine nature. But I know that not all women are going to be okay with that. Not all women want that. It's too ingrained in them to be leading with their masculinity. And that's fine. I have no problem taking advantage of a woman's masculinity either. If I have a masculine, manly woman around me who wants to come along and help me carry bags and shovel snow and whatever else she wants to do, I'm fine with that. The masculine energy is there to help. I don't encourage women to do that because no matter how cute you think it is now, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your late teens, I will tell you what you think you can withstand now, you will not want to withstand when you get into your 30s and your 40s. You will begin to feel it in your physical body and you will wish that you lean back into that feminine energy. So, as I was originally saying, being in your feminine energy and being in that princess feminine energy is allowing people to help you, is valuing your body, valuing your mind enough to say, you know what, I don't want to take on this heavy labor, and nor should I have to when I'm in a relationship with a man. And respectfully, we have to program men how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. If you treat yourself as a princess, your husband will treat you as a princess. If you treat yourself gently, your husband, your son, the other men in your life will see you as delicate and gentle. But if you are constantly putting yourself in a position as if you can go toe to toe with them, or you're competing with them, or you feel like you need to outdo them, you are no longer in a position to receive. Now you're their equal. And I'm not saying equal in humanity, because we are equal in humanity. I'm talking about equal in labor and in what you can do. And for the life of me, I don't know why any woman would want that. We were not built for the heavy lifting. Not to say we can't do it, but why would you want to if you have a man in your life? I really want to have it. I'm struggling to make things work from my partner. I'm sorry to hear that, Claudia. I don't know exactly what your situation is. Relationships, they can be very complicated. So I'm pretty sure, a lot of times it's not just one thing that can mess up a relationship or cause tension in a relationship. There could be multiple things, and I've recently influenced my boo to do as such, and you definitely need boundaries, and standing your boundaries non-negotiable. Absolutely. And that's another thing, having strong boundaries. So if you say you're not going to do something, and when I say you say you're not going to do something, you don't have to verbalize this to the person you're with. They'll just see how you're moving, and they will understand, oh, she doesn't do those things anymore. She doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. Recently, my husband asked me if I often take the train. I live here in the city. Sometimes train is the quickest way of transportation. So I have a pass and all of that stuff when I hop on the train sometimes. And my husband asked me, what was this, like 3 weeks ago? Did you put your money on your pass? And I told him no. And I forgot that you have to have it done by a certain day. And I told him the reason why I didn't get it done. I said, I didn't put the money on there because normally when we go to put the money on there, you're with me. But you weren't with me. And I didn't feel comfortable going down there to put the money on the pass. So I didn't do it. So I ended up keeping the money for the pass. And he gave me money so I could just hop on the train for the rest of the week. And I give you that story to say that I showed him my vulnerability. I showed him that if you are not with me going into this specific place where we get the pass, I'm not going because I don't feel comfortable being around the people that are there. I live in the city. I'm not going to sit here. I don't live on a farm or in the country. I live in a big city. And I don't like dealing with some of the people that, a man is masculine. He'll go in and take care of his business and do what he has to do. If my husband is not with me to do that, I'm not doing it. And he knew that. But now he knows it even more. So even something as simple as that is a boundary of mine. I'm not going to places that make me uncomfortable, even if it's to take care of business or something that is important. If you know I need to have it done, you'll do it ahead of time. So now what he's going to do is start just doing it online. So that way I don't have to go anywhere near where he goes to put the money on the pass. And it's something as simple as that. It's just in that I show my vulnerability. Now the old me, the masculine leading me would have been like, I got to do what I got to do. I got to get this money. I'm going to just walk through these people. And, I don't care if I'm uncomfortable. I wish they would. No, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to be in fight mode where I have to almost defend myself to do something. No, I cross the street if it makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't go into certain places if it makes me feel uncomfortable. I have a husband that can do those things. I remember we had got a flat tire. I literally left the car at the shop and just walked on back home because I'm not dealing with all of that. And I know some women might say, well, that's too much. Like, that's too extra. No, if you are not comfortable, and this is another thing, and I'm so happy, Alanya, I hope I'm saying your name right. I hope you brought up boundaries. If you feel uncomfortable with something and you have a masculine presence in your life, let them do that. I let my husband take care of everything pertaining to the car, pertaining to most, of course, some things we do together because we're married, but most money issues, he deals with that kind of thing. Now, as far as organization, and that's where the feminine influence comes in. You are there to be a helpmate for your husband. You are there to keep things kind of organized. Because men, they can be all over the place sometimes, and sometimes they don't remember stuff. My husband, half the time, he got other things going on. He doesn't remember a lot of things. So I have to remind him, like, don't forget about this, don't forget about that. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. But as far as that heavy lifting, no. That's what I have you there for. And it's not in a negative way like you're taking advantage. Ladies, stop feeling like you're taking advantage of a man like, I don't want to treat him that way. No, men need to feel needed. If they feel needed, they feel like they are valuable to us. And I'm not saying you only be with a man because you want him to be your handyman and doing things around the house and spending money and all of that. But you are the princess in the home. Right now, we're talking about the princess part of the feminine energy. I'm going to get into the queen energy. But right now, when it's pertaining to your relationship, you are the princess in your relationship. Let your man know that you need him. There's nothing wrong with that. I saw a TikTok video of a lady who's pregnant, and they say, like, this is what I'm like when my husband is here, when my husband is not here, and then when he's here. And they show her lifting up the entire sofa when he's not there. But then when she hears him downstairs, she's just like, she can't do anything. She can't even open the pickle jar. That's the way it's supposed to be when you're in your feminine energy. Condition your man seeing you in your vulnerable state. That takes bricks off of your back. That takes pressure off of you. For years, I was the type of woman who felt like I can do it all, and I do it all with a smile, until I got worn down and realized things are out of balance here. And it's not because this is the way it has to be. It's because of how I am leading in my not feminine energy. I'm leading in my masculine energy. I'm acting like a man. I'm doing too much. And some men, when we are so strong armed in our approach, when we just, and ladies, you know how we can be sometimes. Sometimes we're like, either it's our way or no way. We will gripe and complain, and sometimes we make things a little bit more difficult than what they need to be. And I understand that it's not always us, and I'm going to get into that. But sometimes we are so adamant about wanting things our way that the man just has no choice but just to sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to let you do what you want to do. I don't want to have this fight. And that's literally the way it happened with me. How I started being more masculine in my approach to things. Not until I realized, and I really believe God showed me this, that you are out of alignment. You're doing things that I didn't call you to do. You're acting in ways that is not becoming of a woman. You have a husband, but you talk like you don't have one. Why are you acting that way? And when a woman is in survival mode, when she's acting heavily in her masculine energy, she is acting as if she has to do whatever she has to do to survive. And that is the opposite of feminine energy. When a woman is heavily in her masculine energy, she will act like she's a single woman, an island to herself, even if she has an entire support system around her. Because she doesn't understand what it means to receive, because she doesn't find herself worthy of receiving anything, or she's fearful that she can't trust the people around her. When you are in your femininity, when you lean back into your feminine energy and decide, no, I'm going to be the princess in my home, you are saying that I trust the people who live in my house. I trust my husband. I trust my children. I love them, but I'm not going to deplete myself trying to please them. Your job as a woman is not to make everyone happy. Your job is to be a presence. And how can you be that feminine encouraging, calm temperature in your home if you are always wound up with the next thing? You're worrying about this, worrying about that. That's not how princesses operate. Princesses submit their request and they expect it to be done. They don't worry, they just know that's what it's going to be. And when you condition your man and your family to begin to treat you in that way, it starts with how you treat yourself. So when you begin to say, okay, I'm not going to worry about this situation. Instead, I'm going to go to the park. I have a park up the street from where I live. I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to stop and get me a nice coffee drink, or I'm going to get me a smoothie or make me a smoothie to take with me. And I'm not going to worry about this. Some of the things that I used to worry about 4 or 5 years ago, I don't worry about today. And people have told me how they see the difference and how I've changed. I have decided that, you know what? Men are not God. But if you have a man in your life, they can shoulder a lot of what you are dealing with in your home, especially if it's something that's too mentally heavy. My husband, he can talk about spiritual matters. He can talk about things going on in the world. He can debate you over politics, religion, anything else. He does that. He likes to tussle. A woman who is in her feminine energy does not like to tussle. I used to be the heavily masculine woman. I was the teacher. I used to lead a Bible study for women. And, you have to break down doctrine. I didn't realize that was out of alignment. But people might not know this, but church folks can be a little rough. And especially when you come to the doctrine, because that's important. It's very important. But I didn't realize I don't need to be battling and bickering back and forth about this. My job is to trust God and live my life. I don't have time for this. So I let that go. When I got out of that leadership position of having to, debate different topics, debate that, debate this, I'm not interested in debating anything. I'm going to pray for you and leave it at that. Now, my husband, like I said, he's the opposite. He's a man. He's supposed to be ready to go blow to blow with people if he needs to on debating, physical, whatever he needs to do. But for me, that's not my lot in life as a woman. God did not build me to constantly having to fight against something. So, and I think as women, we have to get to that point where we no longer want to fight against anything unnecessarily. We're not looking to always be at odds with something or someone, even within our relationships. When you are married, you have to understand that your husband is not your enemy. And he is there to be that, quote, shoulder to lean on, or he should be. For years, I would look at my husband as if he's my competition. Because I was programmed to believe you can't trust these men, this and that and whatever. And I'm not saying that all men are great. Absolutely. You got some men that are dusty. You have some men that are very dusty. They don't have any morals, any principles. They don't realize their role as men. But if you have men in your life, and not just your husband, if you have a father in your life, an uncle, a cousin, that you can just rest around, do that. The masculine energy is there to allow you to feel like a princess. And you should be giving that to yourself even before you become attached to a man. And I'm teaching my daughter this now. My daughter's 16. And I'm teaching her, I'm not giving her the whole independent woman spiel. Don't depend on no man. We're not doing that. But what I do tell her is to focus on yourself. Focus on what you want to be and how you want to be in life. Because men can tug at your emotions. Absolutely. And especially if you're young, your mind is not fully developed, which means if you're under the age of 25, you're fresh out of high school, you're in high school, fresh out of high school, in college. In my opinion, that is not the time to get so strongly attached to a man. Because you need to develop who you are as a woman first. I'm not just talking about your career goals, buying a house, buying a car. I'm not just talking about those things. I'm talking about the fact that you truly don't know what you really want until after you've lived a little bit of life. But if you start a relationship based on puppy love, what's going to happen is that you guys are going to be growing up. And as you grow, you're not going to be the same woman that you were when you first met him when you were maybe 18, 19, 20. The things that you thought were cute and the things that you really loved about him, if that man doesn't grow into a mature adult man, you're going to just have memories of the person that you were with, but you're going to be with somebody who now has arrested development. So that's the reason why I say that I don't think any woman should be in a serious relationship as far as marriage until you have reached at least the age of 25, because now you can kind of think a little bit more logically. A lot of women, and I thank God for this because God can change things around. I'm not saying you have to wait until you're in your 40s and 50s to be married and all of that. And I know there are many videos online telling women that after 40 there's a cap, all these different restrictions and age limits. Can I tell you something? When you are a divine feminine woman and you have class, elegance, and wisdom, it is never too late for you to get married. It is never too late for you to have the right man in your life. Don't believe a lot of these videos that are telling you after you leave college, finding a man is going to be hard. After 40, finding a man is going to be hard. You don't have restrictions based on your age limit. You have restrictions based on your mentality. That kind of thinking and mentality is warped. And what a lot of these people, and a lot of these people who are spewing this kind of stuff, is men who want women to be so gullible and not fully developed in their minds that they go into relationships accepting less than what they deserve. But if you wait to mature in your thinking as a woman and realize how you want to be treated based on how you treat yourself, then you put yourself in a position not to choose, but to allow a healthy relationship to occur. I know I kind of got off of the princess queen energy, but I had to say that because a lot of people are looking for relationships when you shouldn't be just looking for a relationship. You should be developing yourself. And when you develop yourself, the right person who can, compliment you will come along. But back to the princess energy. When you operate in your femininity and you act in that princess energy, you do not fight against your man doing things for you. It used to be so bad with me that I would actually be suspicious when my husband would do nice things for me. I was so accustomed to just, everything is like a business type of thing where, okay, if your husband does something for you, he must be up to something. That kind of warped thinking. That's really what I grew up around. Women who were always mistrusting of everybody and felt like if they didn't do it, then it didn't matter. Or they didn't, what was the saying? I don't want to give anybody the right to say that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have this. And for me, in my femininity, I would say, yes, do this for me. Thank you. I receive it. Why not? We have been conditioned to do things the hard way, to feel like everything has to be hard for it to count. And that's not true. Let me take a sip of my cranberry juice, dilute it with water. Everything doesn't have to be hard for it to count. We have to get out of that way of thinking as women. It says, yes, it can be a tug of war when you're not resting in your feminine. Men naturally play mind games sometimes. That's why you have to react with wisdom, and all else will flow effortlessly. Absolutely. And, it's unfortunate. Yes, some men do play mind games, and, you have men who are more accustomed to women coddling them. Maybe they grew up in a household where, their mothers treated them like their babies well into their teenage years. And they expect that a woman is going to come along and do the same thing. But when you're operating in your princess energy, you're not mothering your man. Just because I talk about on this channel about how we don't decenter men, we respect men, we don't want to compete with them. That doesn't mean that you tolerate disrespect and you allow a man to play you. The feminine energy is not negative, it's not weak. It is wisdom and it is strength under control. That means that you're not looking for, suspicious activity from a man, but you don't accept anything that is less than what you deserve, which means you're not going to be the woman that's sitting in the house doing everything while your husband acts like you are the handyman, the caretaker, the chef, the cleaner. That is not the totality of your womanhood by how much you can clean, how much you can cook, how much you can do all these different domestic things. You can pay somebody to do those things. Your feminine energy is more valuable than that. It's not just that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with cooking or cleaning, because I do those things too, because I want my house to look nice. But I don't do those things to get the approval of my husband, nor does he need me to do that. And I'm not saying this to brag on my relationship. I'm saying it as an example. I remember one time I wanted to drive. When me and my husband, when we had the one car, we wanted to drive. I wanted to drive. And he was like, no. He said, just be the wife. The masculine side of my brain was like, just be the wife. What does that mean? Because I'm a woman, I can't drive? But no, he's saying, relax. You sit in the passenger seat. I don't need you to drive. Relax. I was able to be a passenger princess, as I am pretty much 98% of the time now. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to ask yourself, why did my automatic response say, why can't I drive? What do you mean by be the woman? And you have some women who are offended by that kind of language, be the woman, because they have been programmed to believe that they should act and be just like men. And you have some men that celebrate that in women. Every time I think about that type of mentality, I think about that Neo song, which I like, but when I listen to the lyrics further, I'm like, that's nothing but a bum anthem. It says, she got her own thing. That's why I love her. So you only love a woman because she doesn't require anything of you except for you just to be there, spreading dust. Not saying he's a dusty because he has money. But even a man with money, if he's not generous, if he doesn't allow you to rest and feel like it's his job to provide for you, you're still with somebody who isn't heavily in his masculine energy. So, they even have songs out that are trying to program women into believing that it's wrong to allow a man to be a man. And that's one of the things that take women out of their feminine energy too, and don't allow you to be in your princess energy because you're too busy trying to coddle the man in your life. Don't do this. Oh, you don't have to do all that. I actually heard somebody say, well, I don't want him to have to work like that. Like, I'll do it. He doesn't have to do that. Why not? That's what he was built for. I'm not saying man was only built for that, but my goodness, I think in this time and age, we are too soft on men. And in essence, we're making things harder on ourselves. Women have to become comfortable being uncomfortable with letting a man be a man. And if a man is truly in his masculine energy, he wants you to be his princess because he understands with allowing you to rest, there are added benefits to his life. Your mood and your attitude is better. Your home environment gets better. I believe that my husband can testify to the fact that when I lean back into my femininity and not allowed, like gave him permission, but I just stopped trying to fight against everything that he was doing and just let things be and just flow in life, our home environment got better. There's not as much arguing and bickering. I have more time to do little girly things around here and make our home feel inviting and warm because I'm not worrying about the heavier matters of life. I'm not worrying about, trying to keep track of every little thing that he's doing for our household. That's his job. As long as I continue to flip the light switch and them lights come on and I open the refrigerator and there's food in there and everybody is happy and healthy, what do I need to worry about? Why do I have to bicker with him about anything? I have other things to focus on, like my own feminine self-development. And men who are in their masculine, they like seeing their women be in the princess energy. They like when they see you going to the store, buying things for yourself. My husband always says, I love when you wear dresses. And this is another thing, ladies. You have to understand the influence you have on your man when you're in a dress and when you're just being more feminine and girly. My husband can't even stay mad at me or irritated with me over something when I have on a dress and when I'm like dolled up and everything. It's like men are not that complicated. Like when you look beautiful and carry yourself in a confident but feminine way, they're not really complaining about much. They might have things they need to do, but you'll never know about it because they don't want to burden you down with heavy things. But when you are heavily in your masculine energy as a woman, a man doesn't feel uncomfortable coming to you telling you, we got this bill due, we got that bill due. You're gonna have half of it by the end of the month because we got to do this, because you have programmed him to feel comfortable coming to you, laying heavy burdens on you. But when you are operating in that princess energy, the man doesn't want to burden you down with all of that. He looks at you as if, you know what, she doesn't need to deal with all of that. I don't want to stress her. She doesn't need to worry about that. She needs to focus on herself and doing what she needs to do for the kids. Or, if you have other things you got going on, if you don't have kids and, you're working on a little business or whatever you're doing, even if you're just working out, keeping yourself together. When you're in your femininity and you're operating in that princess energy, your husband, your boyfriend, your father, your uncle, cousin, whatever masculine energy you have in your life, they're not going to want to burden you. They're not going to want to burden you with the heavier things of life, because you carry that princess, warm, calm, she doesn't need to be bothered energy. But when you are heavily in your masculine as a woman, oh yeah, they'll come to you. They might tell you, come out here, lift this car. They might tell you, come out here, I need you to go get gas in both of the cars and then make sure you do this and then go mow the lawn. If you're operating in that masculine energy. So it benefits you as a woman to stay in that princess energy, to stay in that feminine way of being, if you don't want more people to put more on you than what you want to take on. Even when you're at work, it depends on the type of work you do, of course. And if you have a more laborious job, then you might have to do what you need to do. But if you are in a situation, if you're in an environment where you work in like an administrative environment, or you work in a hospitality environment, customer service, if you are operating more so in your femininity, you more than likely will not be the one that they're going to call on to do extra heavy labor, because they're going to know, oh, she doesn't really do all of that, or, she can't handle that. We don't want to ask her to do that. Like, she's too sweet for that. She's too gentle for that. I can't tell you how many times. Now, I'm going from being one way to being another way. So I'm not saying this in judgment. I'm saying it because I've been both ways. I have been the woman who gloried in my masculinity of saying, absolutely, if I need to lift a bus, I can do it. And I'm not saying that you can't, but when you lead with that, it's like you're always putting yourself in a position to be taken advantage of almost, where people know they can come to you to do the heavy lifting. And when you're in your feminine energy, you no longer want to do the heavy lifting if you don't have to. The princess energy says that I'm too delicate, I'm too gentle to take on these heavy things. And I'm not just saying physical, I'm talking about mentally draining, heavy things as well. When you allow people to constantly dump on you, when you feel like you're mentally stable, when you allow people to dump on you, you are not sitting in the princess energy. You are acting in a way as if you can take on the cares of the world, and only God can do that. You were not built to take on everybody's problems unless you are a therapist that specializes in those things and you went to school for many years to do those things. But if you haven't done that, there's no reason as a woman why you should subject yourself to taking in all the negativity of other people. I'm not saying that you don't care and love other people, because I have people in my life that I absolutely love and care for. But I had to realize that for my own mental well-being, I could not continue to have some of the heavy conversations that I was having with some people, especially late at night. I had some friends and family members who loved to call me late at night talking about negative things. And I just felt like I couldn't take that into my spirit and be able to rest that night. Even during the day, it's just not good for me mentally. So I had to begin to limit the conversations that I was having with these people, not because I didn't love them, but because of for my own well-being, my own mental stability. Their anxiousness was making me anxious. So I had to support them in other ways. I could send them care packages. I have brief discussions with them on the phone, opposed to talking to them for hours on end. When you're operating in the princess energy, you value your mental well being, which means you want to keep things as light as possible. Of course, we live in the world, so everything is not going to be light all the time. Everything is not going to be just flowy and everything all the time. But you are saying that as a feminine woman, if I truly want to be that rested and just flowy type of woman, I can't take on heavy things all the time, nor am I supposed to. Even God says in the word to cast your cares on him because I care for you. If God doesn't want us to carry the heavy burdens in our life, who are we to decide that we can carry the heavy burdens of everybody else? You understand? That's a very masculine way of thinking and being if you believe as a woman that you can carry the heavy burdens of everybody else's problem in your life. So the princess energy also is very light in her thinking. She doesn't weigh her mind down with a lot of heaviness, i.e., depression and anxiety. These things are real. I went through bouts of not depression, but anxiety. And I got so tired of getting panic attacks and waking up out of my sleep, only sleeping for 30 minutes at a time. I started praying, meditating more. I told God I was tired of this. And I decided, you know what? Nothing in this life is worth me being all weighed down with the heaviness because I am taking on more than what I'm supposed to. I am not truly resting in my womanhood. I am trying to be everything to everybody. And that's one thing that women in their feminine energy do not do. So I began to do things like natural herbal supplements and, herbal teas. And slowly but surely, God brought me out of that. And I realized I've been out of balance. I've been acting more so like a man. Even it's unhealthy for a man to feel like he can take on the weight of the world, but he can take on a lot more than what we can as women. So when I realized that, that's when I truly, and that was back in 2015, that's when I truly began to just lean into my feminine nature and do more study and do more meditation and just start wondering, what is it truly like to be a woman who is rested, who is comfortable just being a woman and not feeling like I have to constantly do something to prove my value. So the princess energy does not constantly have to prove her value. Her presence is enough. She understands that her influence can make an impact on the people in her life if she is rested in her femininity. When you're all wound up, you cannot be of benefit to anybody. Most people are repelled by a woman who was overbearing, obnoxious, always anxious, always worried. That's not a woman that is truly rested in her feminine energy. Let me take another sip of my drink. Yes, the dress gives princess. Absolutely. What is my advice on what, Claudia? You said, what is your advice on that? On what? Let me say something. Hi, you okay? I'm sorry, my husband texted me. Yes, I'm fine. I don't know how this looks on the live. I hope it looks okay. Had to text husband back real quick. But what is your advice on what? Yes, so a lot of the princess energy is just laid back, relaxed, and it's allowing the masculine in your life to do for you. Now let's get into the queen energy. What is the feminine queen energy? This is the one where many women love to live in. This has to do more so with being more assertive, not aggressive, but more assertive. When a woman is in her queen energy, she has the ability to get things can't see it, it's okay. When you said can't see it, did the screen go blank for a minute, Alania? When a woman is in her queen energy, she is in the mode of accomplishing, but not in the same way that a man would. She would be considered the boss lady, she would be considered the more of the businesswoman, the assertive one. She's the one who knows how to get things done. It didn't block the screen. Awesome. Awesome. I put my do not disturb on, but when my husband texts me, I have to text back. I try to, I don't know when his lunch is every time, so I have to figure it out. He knows I go live sometimes. I'm starting to go live more, but I digress. The queen energy. I mainly operate when I'm home, I'm mainly in the princess energy with my husband. But when I'm out in the world, when I'm working and when I'm doing different things, I am in my queen feminine energy. I am in the energy that says, I am kind, I am gentle, I'll treat you well, you treat me well, but we will get accomplished what I set out to accomplish. When it comes to business, when it comes to being in industry, when it comes to your children, a feminine woman has to be in that queen energy. You cannot be the kind of woman you want to be and accomplish what you want to accomplish out in the world, being that delicate little butterfly all the time, just floating. There are sharks out there in the water, okay? This is not the channel where I'm going to tell you that when you're out there in the world, you live in the city, you're just going to be floating, whimsical, everybody is just... No. You have some people out there who don't care about your femininity. They don't care that you're soft and gentle. And because of that, you have to keep that soft and gentle nature about you. But your wisdom absolutely has to kick in, and your assertiveness has to kick in. The way I'm talking on this chat right now is the way I talk in general. But when I need something to be done when I'm at work, when I'm dealing with different people, when I'm in business, dealing with different people and trying to do different things, I do not just say, well, I'm not sure how to do this. When you're in the queen feminine energy, you don't show as much vulnerability. You show that you have a lot of confidence and that you are very sure of yourself, but you do it in a gentle and delicate way, which means your tone, you don't speak in the same way that the average woman would. You wouldn't say, yeah, I need you to do this for me. You don't never do. No, we don't do that. We say something to the effect, I asked you to do this last week, but you didn't do it. Why? Or you overstep and I'm good for this in business. I will do what needed to be done and the other person will feel bad and come along and do something else to kind of top what I did. And I don't mind it because I get the benefit of what I did and what they do, because they understand she really meant what she said. She stood on her boundaries. And that's what the queen feminine energy is. You stand heavy on your boundaries and you have confidence in who you are and what you are able to do. While your identity is not in what you do recognize that you have assertive energy about yourself that can accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. And like I said in previous videos, you are never stuck. When a woman is operating her queen energy, she understands that she is not limited by other people's no. Just because somebody tells you no in a certain area, that doesn't mean that you won't get it accomplished another way. Feminine energy knows how to utilize everybody and everything to her disposal. This is more so in the dark femininity, which is also something you need to have as well. I'm going to link the dark femininity playlist in the description of this chat at the very end, because you have to operate in the light and the dark femininity. If you are constantly in the light femininity, you are going to be taken advantage of out in the world. The light femininity is mainly for when you are around people who you feel comfortable with, people you are, people like a relationship, when you are just, When you're doing something that doesn't pertain to accomplishing, you can be in your light feminine energy. And this is not something you turn on and off. Femininity is the nature of a woman. Don't get that wrong. This is not something you turn on and off. Femininity is the nature of who a woman is. But just like you can be in more of a competitive mode when you're in sports, and then when you're at the spa, you're more relaxed, it's the same way. When you are with somebody you feel comfortable with, you're with your husband, you're not in that queen energy. You're in the princess energy because you want to be open to receive. But if you are a manager or an executive or a partner at a law firm or a business, you're not going to be in the princess energy. You're going to be in the queen energy because you need people to get done what you need to get done. Or even if you're just a worker in a regular job, if you want to excel at your work and you want to be taken seriously, you're not going to be threatening. You're not going to come off as intimidating, even though intimidating is subjective based on the person. But you have to be a woman who has confidence. That's what the queen energy is. It's a woman who is highly confident. When you're in the queen energy, you can walk in a room with other women, no matter how they look, and you can feel that you are at home. You do not feel out of place among other women you deem to be beautiful or more beautiful than you. You have to be your own standard. And when you are in that queen energy, you have developed yourself as your own standard. There's nobody like you. You look at yourself as if you are it, like you are that girl. You are the standard. And that's not conceited. That's absolutely needed to operate in the queen energy. When you are a woman who understands that what you want and what you desire is just as important as anybody else, you're not going to just be vulnerable and say, whatever you want to give me, I'm fine with. You have options. If you are going into a job interview and you know that you need a certain salary, you're not going to accept less than what you need just for the sake of being agreeable at the job. You're going to have an actual standard because you know how you want to live. The queen energy understands her value. She doesn't accept less than what she needs to live her life the way she wants to live it. The queen energy also says that you cannot intimidate me. The queen energy understands that while she is a girl's girl, we love women. We are not, we don't get jealous by other women. We are not trying to pick fights with other women. But we also understand that there are some women who will get threatened by your femininity. And in that, you have to stand even stronger in that way in the queen energy. It's not that you're trying to show yourself better than somebody, but you are trying to make sure that you don't allow anybody to break your confidence. How many times have you been into a certain situation or in a room with other women and all of a sudden you just got really uncomfortable thinking, I don't belong here? Well, a woman who operates in the queen energy believes she belongs everywhere. She doesn't care about light skin, dark skin, exotical, whatever. All of that is foolishness to her. She values who she is, her unique brand of womanhood, her unique brand of femininity. She knows that she is her standard and that she doesn't have to do all these extra things to make people be attractive to her or give to her. It's like her presence almost commands the attention and the opportunity that she needs. Did you ever answer the question, Alana? Yes, the dress. No, it didn't. I'm sorry, I'm kind of backed up on some of the comments. If you all have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I can answer questions about anything that I'm saying. Because I know some of this is, some concepts you might have heard before, and some of it is not. I'm very passionate about this because I realize, I'm not like everybody else. Everybody is different, but some women really have to understand and embrace their own uniqueness. And when I realize I'm a go with the flow kind of person, but I am still very much a type A personality. And sometimes when you are a woman who's in your femininity and you operate more so in that queen energy, you might clash with other women who are accustomed to just blending in. And again, it's not like you're trying to make yourself out to be better than somebody, but if it comes off that way, we don't worry about those things. When you are in your feminine energy, you don't worry about how you are perceived by other people unless you're doing something completely out the way. We're not tacky, we're not ratchet, we don't do those kind of things. But when you're just being yourself and you're confident, some people can't handle your confidence. Some people like you more timid. And when a woman is operating in her queen energy, she is not timid. Especially for us. I'm going to get into that. My throat is getting dry. I don't know if it's the time of the year, but goodness. When you operate confidently, a lot of people, man and woman alike, they're not going to like that. I can tell you, I had a lot more friends when I was the girl that's just shy and kind of, going along and just saying, hey, whatever you want to do, don't say much, you sit in neutral. You got those people that like to just sit in neutral. They don't want no fight. I don't want no problems. And feminine women, we don't want any problems either. But the woman operating in her queen energy, she's not willing to accept disrespect. She's not willing to accept being in environments where she's just being tolerated and not celebrated. Many women go into environments and do these friends trips and girl trips and do these group outings with people that don't even like them. For the life of me, I don't understand why women subject themselves to those kind of things. For me, I can't be around people who are not genuine. And some women, and I think once you get past a certain age, you shouldn't be willing to subject yourself to people who are just tolerating you and not celebrating you, or at least being respectful toward you. You have to be able to recognize, and this is another trait of a woman who is in her queen energy. She recognizes when she has people around her who has secret envy and jealousy against her. I think a lot of women, a lot of lives could have been spared. A lot of heartache could have been spared if women begin to recognize really who is for them and who is against them. You have some women who will smile in your face, but be plotting against you behind your back. Feminine discernment, divine feminine wisdom will help you to know the difference. Will help you to know when you're around a woman who is genuinely for you, or you're around somebody who is jealous and envious of what you have. And don't think that it's only about money. When it comes to jealousy and envy, it's not just about money. Yes, I recently turned down a girl's trip. Glad I did. Yeah, and I'm not saying that going on girls trips are, like it should be forbidden, but just know who you're going with. If you're good friends with one person and they invite people, like 5 other people that you've never met before, or maybe you met them a couple times and the interaction wasn't the greatest, don't go on that trip. Like, why would you go on a trip? Like use your wisdom, use common sense. Okay, I'm going to have a moment here. Use common sense. If your friend, you've known her, let's say for like 6 months to a year, and she has 5 other friends that she's known since childhood, you might have met those friends maybe a couple of times at a different parties or different functions, and they barely spoke to you. They barely said anything to you. Some of them was looking at you funny, never said anything. Now all of y'all are about to go to Aruba together. Why would you subject yourself to being around 5 people that really don't know you, don't communicate with you for the sake of the one friend? That math is not mathing to me. You're one person in a group of people where you're not the one who's the closest to everybody. Why would you go out of the country with a bunch of people that you don't know for the sake of saying you're going on a girls trip? You'd be better off getting you a cute dress and a bathing suit, going to your local beach in your state and enjoying yourself with the one friend or a family member or a friend down the street or something. Just use wisdom. I think a lot of these girls trips, they're starting to become like little bully fest, where you can get somebody out of their element in order to do something that you're not bold enough to do in your own home state. I just have to say what it is, because I've heard so many horrific stories on social media, on the news, of women, especially young women, who are getting into these situations where either they're no longer here or they experience something that's so horrific because they're not using wisdom. I'm not saying anybody deserves anything bad to happen. You have to use wisdom. Know who you're around. And that even goes for women who are older too. You know, just because you get into your 30s and your 40s, that doesn't mean that bullying all of a sudden stops. I remember a situation with my daughter where she wasn't really being full out bullied, but you know, when you're teenagers, you know, girls just say little stuff. They give you the skunk eye, give you the stink faces. And she was telling me how she was in class, she was singing or something. They were in music class, and the girl called her a B. As a mother, that made me feel some kind of way. And I asked her, "What did you say?" She said, "I rolled my eyes and walked away." I said, "Okay, you handle it. You handle it." I said, as long as she don't get in your personal space. I said, "Did she call you a B directly to your face, or did she say it under her breath?" She said she said it under her breath. I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay." And I bring that up to say that you're going to have little bullying, little picking, even after you have those kind of situations. Because when she told me this, I told her about situations I've experienced in the workplace. I told her, I said, even when you get older, there are still going to be some women who just cannot handle a happy spirit. And that's really what it comes down to when you're talking about this, this envy, this jealousy, these incidents happening on these girls' trips, and, a lot of female tension. A lot of women, especially when they're heavily in their masculine, they cannot handle a happy spirit from a woman. When a woman is too free flowing, you're too happy, you're too unbothered. Some women cannot handle that. When you are being too successful in your personal life, and this is another thing that I share with my daughter, when you're doing something great, you share it. You can share it, but don't give somebody all of the details, and only share it with people you feel like you can trust, which is normally only one or two people other than your parents. And even your parents sometimes. This is a whole different conversation. But even you have hidden jealousy within families. So I told her, I said, one thing you do not do. You tell me all the time you want to be rich. You want to be a graphic designer or a music producer and all these different things. Don't tell everybody what you have. Even if you end up accomplishing that, which I pray you do, and you become a millionaire, don't tell everybody what just happened. They'll see what happened by how you live. A lot of these women who have experienced horrific things at the hands of people who they thought were friends, they were telling them a lot more than what they needed to know. If you own a popular hair salon and you are the top salon stylist in your city, just let it be shown by your work. The woman in her queen feminine energy knows how to quietly be successful. If you are making 6 figures, 7 figures, you're doing well in life. The feminine woman understands that she can be quietly blessed, quietly successful. She doesn't feel the need to flex on everybody because she doesn't have anything to prove. It's unfortunate because I understand the feeling of being so happy that you want to shout it from the rooftops and just tell people what's happening. But unfortunately, we live in a time where there are a lot of haters, a lot of envy, jealousy, and wicked demonic spirits where you cannot shout it from the rooftops. Some things you're going to have to just keep to yourself and take that win and say, "Thank you, God," and keep on moving. Because some people are waiting for you to fail. When I say some people, and I mean women and men alike, but I'm speaking specifically to women, but you got some men are the same way. But some women are just that miserable where they're just like waiting for you to fail. So as divine feminine women operating in the queen energy, know who's in your midst. Use wisdom and discernment to understand when you're around women that aren't really feeling you like that. And it's okay if they're not. Everybody's not going to click. And once you get past a certain age, you should understand and expect that. And know that people who are for you, you will attract your tribe. The women who have the same elevated, leveled up mindset that you do, the women who have the same unbothered mentality, the laid back, not worried about trying the next one, they will find you. But we have to start using wisdom as women and not feel like everybody that's smiling at us is our best friends. And this is mainly for the women who are under the age of 25. Because I feel like once you pass the age of 25, you should kind of get an idea of, having a little bit of wisdom to know, okay, I don't think I'm going to go on this trip if there's 6 women who barely want to look at me when I'm at the party with my girl. I'm not going to go to Mexico or Aruba or Hawaii with them. I'm staying planted right here in the US or the UK. I'm staying right where I am. Because my discernment, my spirit tells me that's not safe. And the queen energy tells you when you're not safe. You'll recognize when you're in the presence of a male and not a man. When it comes to relationships with men, there's nothing more weird than having a relationship, whether it be intimate or a friendship, with a man who is jealous of a woman. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even realize that was really something where a man could be jealous of a woman. To me, that's so weird. You have some men who are trying so hard to compete with women that they are jealous of a woman when we are completely the opposite in type. I don't understand that. I've had men sass me, like doing all that kind of stuff to me, and it made me feel so weird on the inside because I'm like, I'm a girl. Like, why are you acting that way? Like, why are you acting that way? Like, I don't understand. Like, the men back in the day, the word is bondmen. The men who used to, when they speak, their word meant something. Today, you have men, if you say something, they're ready to like fist fight you. And I'm not saying that some women, the mouth is slick, but you got some men who feel like they really want to fist fight a woman over some words. Like, it's very sad. Back in the day, the old school men, the men with the calluses on their hand and stuff, they would just, oh, you woman acting crazy, emotion. Go ahead somewhere with that. But the men of today, they just so saucy. I'm gonna let that go. Okay, I'm gonna let that go. It's crazy, and I don't want to feel like I'm just ranting at this point. And I do hope that you're getting what I'm saying about the queen energy. If you get it, leave a heart, comment, or something here. I'm going to try to make my chats more, organized, I guess. But honestly, I don't want them to be organized. I feel like this is a discussion that I'm having with you all. We're just talking. We're just talking. I'll have to go get my children from school soon. But yeah, we got to use discernment and wisdom. The queen energy has wisdom and discernment. And I'm a girl's girl. I created this channel because I wanted to build a community of like-minded women who want to thrive in their femininity and go against the grain of what society is telling us to be as women. That's why I created this community. I don't want there to be only what you see on TV. The women that are always tussling, always bickering, always against one another. I'm going to give you what to look out for when it comes to dealing with other women. Absolutely I am. Because unfortunately, all of us do not have class and decorum. You have some women who are just ruthless and vicious, and they're proud of it. And then you have some women that don't know anything other than what they've been taught. They've been taught a lot of masculine ways, and they want to be a softer, gentler, decent woman. They just don't know how. They don't have any examples. And by no means am I saying I'm the complete standard. I'm the standard for me, okay? I'm giving you what I know and how I have grown as a woman. I'm not the standard for the entire femininity community. I am one woman who has seen how leaning back into your femininity can change your life and change your mentality and help you to be more free as a woman. And I'm here to share that with you. But you are going to be your own standard for your femininity. You are going to be the woman that you feel like you need to be in your life. But I'll tell you, femininity is the divine nature of who a woman is created to be by God. And that's for every woman. There's many things that stop women from living in their femininity, whether it be their circumstances, whether it be how they were raised, fear of appearing to be soft, which is another unfortunate thing for women. Why are you afraid to be soft? As women, we should be soft. I know if you grew up in the hood, if you grew up in the city, you were always taught that you got to toughen up, be strong, be this, be that. Yes, you should be tough to an extent. You should be able to withstand some things, but you don't always want to be in the position to have to do so. Like, I don't want to be a soldier. I don't want to be a soldier. I don't want to fight. I want my hands to remain soft. And my hands were not always soft. My hands were sometimes rough, and I was doing a lot of different things, and always achy and just weighed down. As women, we have to stop glorying in struggle. And people who have that mentality, that hood mentality about womanhood, it's always about glorified struggle. It's always about, I had to do this the hard way. Why are you happy about that? That shouldn't be your normal. As feminine women, we don't want to do things the hard way. We're trying to make life as simple as possible for ourselves. And in doing that, we have to make sure that we exercise wisdom and discernment as women. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I'm so happy that, you guys are here. And I just feel like it's my mission to get women out of that masculine mindset. Like, it's enough of that. I think if more women were able to actually be rested, I definitely get it. I'm glad you do. It's like, if more women were able to actually be rested, I'm not saying that women are suddenly going to just turn into butterflies and just float around and do nothing in life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if more women move with grace and ease about themselves, if they really understood that their presence is more powerful than what they know, and stop feeling like they have to be on guard all the time, and realize that they have a choice in their life and how they want to live and who they want to be with and who they want to be around, that the womanhood circle, the associations, the relationships between women would be so much better if women would really just work on their own self-development and stop looking to the TV to tell you how to be a woman. I mean, a lot of these shows I used to watch Basketball Wives, Real Housewives, and I'll be honest, I like their style. A lot of them, I like their style. I like how they look. I like their hair. I like all of that. But the personalities of a lot of them, oh my goodness. It was one lady, and I'm going to end this live in a few. One lady from Basketball Wives, Jennifer Williams, I think her name was, or is, absolutely stunning. I like everything about her. The way she used to have flirty girl fitness. And she had, the way she carried herself, her whole aesthetic, her way. Very cool, very confident. She was a businesswoman, but she was also very feminine. But she was also in some drama all the time, too. And what was the other one? Evelyn Lozado. I believe that's, yeah. Evelyn, Tammy, all of them. I knew all of them, okay? They were very beautiful women, and I loved their style. Even with, something more wholesome, Braxton Family Values. I absolutely used to watch that too, and I like their style. A lot of those reality TV shows, will I say it and risk everybody falling off of here? I'm going to say it. The Kardashians, okay? Some of their style I like. I'm not talking about the moral issues and all of that. I'm talking about the style. But the thing these women lack is femininity. They don't have feminine way about them, just style. So when you look at TV, you can look at the way they dress. You can look at their hairstyles, beauty regimens, whatever you want. But for some of them, I wouldn't say follow their personality or their character. Very messy. And that's where the femininity come in and the feminine aesthetic. You don't want to just be an aesthetic. You want to really, truly be in your divine nature as a woman. A lot of what we see on TV is feminine aesthetic. You don't want to just be that, okay? Like and subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Share this content with other women because we want to build up this community. It's going to sound weird for me to say it, but I'm like really, my goal is like world domination with this channel, okay? This is a brand of womanhood that I believe is counterculture to what people are accustomed to. We are not overly aesthetical here, okay? You're not going to see everything behind me beige and pink. You're not going to see me here with top hats and tiaras. But what you will see is authentic, holistic, feminine principles that will help you to transform yourself from the inside out. I am going to be creating coaching courses. I do some coaching right now, but I don't have any courses. So if you're interested in that, my email is in the description so we can set up coaching calls if that's something you're interested in. I specialize in confidence building, boundaries, and femininity. But I appreciate you all. Yes, thank you, Kayleen. We'll watch the replay. Awesome, awesome. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. If you haven't seen the full, live here, share it with somebody else. We want to build up this community so we can have a bunch of like-minded women who truly want to thrive in their femininity and their womanhood. I am looking forward to what's to come with this channel. We have over 2,000 subscribers here in such a short amount of time. I am extremely grateful to you all. This is just the beginning. There are some topics I want to talk about that I'm going to wait. I'm going to let this thing keep growing, but there's so many hot, heavy topics I want to talk about pertaining to womanhood. So just stay tuned, okay? Hit the like button and share this content with as many women as you think who would be interested, all right? Enjoy the rest of your day, ladies. Take care.